Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to African Innovate. My name is Farida Dan-Mary. I'm the founder and CEO of Learning Connected, and today we are focusing on community. African Innovate is a conference hackathon that focuses on sustainable development in Africa. And I'm very, very happy to have our wonderful panelists joining us today. I would like to introduce everyone, and then we're going to dive straight into those questions. So with us today, we have Moses Aboladi, the Executive Director, Peace, Education and Practice Network from the Practice Network in Nigeria, Dr. Hailay Abraha from Flinders University, who is a postdoctoral research fellow, Tony Joy, the founder and director of Jury in Nigeria, Isaac Onemafuata, the program manager for nutrition, food security and livelihoods from the Organization for Peace, Relief and Development in Kenya. And we also have Maimuna Yakubu Mohammed, the CEO at Society for Women Development and Empowerment of Nigeria. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. So I just want to cover a few things. If anyone who is attending today, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to add that to the chat box in the Q&A area, and we'll address that towards the end of our discussion. Initially, we're really going to dive into some questions to uncover some of the challenges and ways in which we can overcome them related to community.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I think if I begin to introduce myself, I'm a postdoctoral fellow at Flinders University of South Australia. I'm infectious disease epidemiologist by training. So for those of you who don't know what infectious disease is, it's a field of study that focuses on the distribution of infectious illness such as HIV and COVID by place, time, and person. I did my PhD at Flinders, but before that, I used to work as an academician in Ethiopia, in the University of Ethiopia. So more of teaching public health courses for postgraduate and graduate students. I also use it to do a bit of community support. We have a program called community-based training program where we deploy graduate and postgraduate students to remote community areas so that they deliver health information. They actually build community toilets and groundwater and so on and so on. So they try to solve, some of the common community problems. I also do a bit of capacity building. I use it to give training of trainees to use on life skills and sexual and reproductive health. I am aware of the Youth Africa Center, so I can say I do have a bit of experience on this as well. And before I joined the university as well, I used to work as a head of health center and treat patients of variety illness, including the infectious diseases such as HIV and other respiratory illnesses. Yeah, so this is a bit of me and my link with the community. But I think more recently, I am also interested on war and public health, which most of my talk will focus on this. So this is a bit of me and how my work is linked with the community.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Love to hear more about you, Tony Joy.
Okay, thank you very much, Farida, for the opportunity. So a quick introduction. My name is Tony Joy, and I run a social project called Durian. And what we do at Durian is we work with women in
function as brand ambassador for different peace organizations here in Nigeria and different parts of the world. But in essence,
governance. We have funding to ensure that women go into politics in Nigeria. I'm from the northern part of Nigeria, and we all know that politics is something that the northern woman doesn't participate very well. So
implications of conflict when it comes to health, and Hailay is here today to share more on the conflict that is taking place in Ethiopia. And I'd really like you to share more on the specific challenges that conflict is bringing.
Well, thank you very much. I think some of the previous speakers we are talking about, the small scale development or the woman empowerment and related issues, but obviously all these things are going to be done only if there is peace. So that's why I'm arguing that, war, which is my recent area of interest, is one of the main challenges of the almost all the components of sustainable development goals. So when we see the domains or the variables of sustainable development goals, all the economic and employment is there, the education is there, the technology is there, and all the rest of the variables is there. But all these sustainable developments, I'm just saying that they can only be sustainably sustained when there is peace. So when there is war, obviously the whole things are affected. So I think when we see, that's one of the reasons why the Africa UK Center was established. It was established during the independent periods of the African countries, where that was actually an ambassador for most of the African peoples who were displaced during these wars. And very sadly, again, at this time, war is becoming a very consistent challenge. And if I am going to mention few before I come to Tigray, we can see, the 1994 Rwandan genocide that took the lives of more than 800 people. The 1996 Congo War that took the lives of more than 5 million people. And Isaac knows, the recent 2014 South Sudan war that took the lives of more than 400 people. And now, as we speak, in the 2020 and 21, there is an active Tigray war, which actually is now more of Tigray genocide that took the lives of more than 150,000 people just only in 6 months. And imagine this day is just out of only 6 million people. So for those of you who don't know where Tigray is and what's happening with regards to the war, so Tigray is one of the regional states in Ethiopia that's located on the northern end of Ethiopia, and is bordered by Eritrea and Sudan, which is two sovereign countries, and another regional state within Ethiopia called Amhara. Now, in June 2020, the Ethiopian Prime Minister, who is called Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, was actually the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize winner, postponed the general election of the country. But one of the regional states of Ethiopia, Tigray, didn't accept the postponement, and then immediately the Prime Minister, cut the budget, shut internet, and shut electricity. And then on the 4th of November, which was the date exactly the same with the United States election, opened a war on the region. And the last 8-9 months, it was, the people of Tigray were living like in hell. Most of you may heard of it. What was happening. There were a series of complete blackouts, especially for the first 4 or 5 months, where there is no internet, there is no bank, there is no electricity, and there is no transportation. And that was actually to deliberate both the economy and the development, as well as also destroy, the entire technology. Water was, blocked, and schools were destroyed, where more than 1.4 million children actually didn't go to school. And, fruits and plants were deliberately cut. And you can imagine this easily affects the ecosystem of Tigray. And there were horrendous atrocities where there was a gang rape of more than 25,000 women. And what's very horrible on this gender-based violence, where people were asked to have sex with their family members, the soldiers inserted, hot metal in the privates of the woman, and 8-9 soldiers raped for a single girl. So it's very insane to hear. And there were a number of mass killings everywhere, in the church, in the mosques, and in small cities. Both public and private properties were looted, and even aids from the United Nations were completely blocked, so that food was used as a weapon of war, and the same thing, rape was also used as a weapon of war. So it's very easy to conclude that there has been an ethnic cleansing, and there has been a genocide, and there has been, a war crime against the people of Tigray. Now, the very key challenge in this war, you can imagine there are a lot, but at least to mention few, the humanitarian situation was very concerning, and Tigray was in a very dire situation. And what makes this worse is, the world was deliberately denied to get access, to know what's happening in Tigray, because it was most of the time was in a very complete blackout. And the so-called African Union actually also failed to genuinely act, on the matter. They failed to denounce that there is a genocide, even though most of them know what's exactly happening in the region. And the African Union tried to interrupt the coming out of resolutions from the United Nations Security Council. So we blame them that they try to prioritize, the political alliance over the humanitarian aid. But now, I could mention a list of solutions. I could mention a list of challenges, but what we tried to do a solution, at least to my part, where I can only do is I have to advocate that there is a dire situation in Tigray. And one of the things that I tried to make was I have to organize an open public lecture in order to aware the world what's happening in Tigray. And I tried to write a couple of blogs as well, particularly on the complete collapse of health system of Tigray. And again, the same, I made a couple of interviews in order to advocate what's really happening in Tigray. And plus, me as the chairperson of the Tigray Community Association here in South Australia, I have tried to organize a couple of demonstrations in order to aware, the member of parliaments and other communities in the place where I am living in. So that's in brief how war affects, almost all the 17 components of the Sustainable Development Goals, the potential challenges, and the solutions that I have contributed for.
Thank you.